Title: The Haunted Doorbell. It was a stormy November night that was particularly cold. The rain pounded with relentless persistence against the windows of a quaint old house at the edge of a quiet town. Inside the house, the air was thick with the smell of aged wood and dust. Dim, flickering lights barely lit the enormous room of a living area where a young woman was curled up on a worn couch, trying to lose herself in the comfort of a horror movie streaming on her laptop. It was at the scariest part of the movie when suddenly, ding dong! The sound of a doorbell echoed throughout the house, clearly amplified. Mia's heart skipped a beat. She stopped the movie and sat still, straining her ears. Her old house was surrounded by trees and neighbors were miles away. It was almost midnight, too late for visitors. She shrugged it off, convincing herself it must have been the wind or perhaps a stray cat brushing against the bell outside. She turned back to her laptop and tried shaking off the unease that sat deep within her stomach. But then, just as she was to press the play button, ding dong! The doorbell rang this time more vigorously. "Who could it be at this hour?" Mia mumbled to herself. She steadied herself with a deep breath and stood up. She grabbed her phone to use it as a flashlight, then started moving slowly towards the front door. The hallway was dimly lit with shadows, long and creeping, and every step made the old wooden floor creak beneath her feet. Approaching the door, she could look through the narrow glass panels on either side of it. No one was at home. Slowly, her quivering fingers closed over the doorknob as she peered through the peephole. Darkness with a gentle patter of rain. Let out a sigh of relief, Mia thought to herself. Maybe it's just a prank. But as she turned her back, ready to head back to her cozy spot on the couch, she froze in her tracks. Ding dong. This time, the doorbell rang from inside the house. Her heart was pumping so hard it was slapping against her larynx. She wheeled herself around, striving to scan the living room. And there, on the coffee table, sat the old brass doorbell, the same one that was supposed to be outside. It was ringing on its own, vibrating violently, almost possessed. Mia's mind went blank. How could it have moved inside? She was positive she never had ever touched it. When the doorbell rang again and again, she found something sickeningly disturbing. There was thick black liquid oozing from its edges, which had pooled on the table. Panic set in. She rummaged through her pocket to find her phone and somehow call someone, anyone. But her hands were shaking so wildly that she could hardly unlock the screen. Her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a text from an unknown number. The message was as simple as ominous. "Don't look behind you." A chill, colder than the night air, trickled down her spine. Mia's breath caught in her throat. She could hear something now, soft, wet footsteps behind her. They were slow and deliberate, as if whatever it was enjoyed drawing out her fear. Against every instinct, Mia turned around. The lights fluttered out, leaving it dark. For a split second, she saw him, a shadow with hollow eye sockets and a twisted grin, inches from her nose. His face was painted with that same dark, dripping muck. And then, nothing. By the next morning, the storm had passed. Clear, sunny mornings greeted the town. But in the Thompson house, it remained soundly vacant. In fact, as a mailman stopped by to collect his letters, he noticed that the front door was ajar. Faltering momentarily, he opened it and stepped inside. The house was empty, no sign of Mia anywhere. But on the coffee table, a phone lay in a puddle of dark liquid. Its screen was cracked, but a single message was still visible. "You're next." The end.